What's up YouTube? This is Dennis Panuta for tutorialsEU. In this video, you are going to learn how to use ads in your games when developing with Unity. So we are going to look into rewarded ads, but also into skippable ads and how to use those in order to then reward the player, for example, once he watched one of those rewarded ads. And we're going to use one of the projects from my latest Unity course. You can check out the course with the link in the description below, and we are going to use some code of it. So you can also find the code in the description, so you can download the code in order to really follow along one by one as I do in the video. You can of course also use the script specifically taught in this video so that you can then apply them in your own projects. Okay, so you can just download those and use this ads manager that we're going to set up in your own projects. Okay, so let's get started. In this lecture, we will integrate ads into our game. We will be adding two types of ads: unrewarded ads that can be skipped and rewarded ads that can't be skipped but will double our current money. First, we need to integrate ads into our game. So you need to make sure that you are signed in. I am currently signed in. You need to do the same thing, otherwise this won't work. And then go to your project settings, services, ads, and then connect to your ads. Here you need to select your organization. I'm just going to use my organization here. And then you need to create a project ID. So let's do that. Once you clicked on the button, it will ask whether the game is primarily targeted to children under the age of 13. So if it was a children's game, then you would just say yes. In my case, I'm going to say no, because this game is not for children specifically. Children can play it, but it's not specifically for children. If you want to know more about the COPPA compliance, definitely check this out, because don't count on my word whether this is the right thing for you or not. Legally, I'm not giving any advice here, so definitely check that compliance stuff out. Then save that. Now at this point, you will see that your ads are turned off. So monetize your game. You can click on off, then it will turn it on. So this will take a little while. You see it imports a bunch of scripts as well and other files into our project. Once it is turned on, check the current version. And in our case, it's 3.52. It's the one that we're going to use. If you want, you can also install the latest version. That will be fine either way. Then you can also go to your dashboard. So there's this dashboard button. So let's go there. Click on it. And then you should end up in your Unity dashboard. Of course, you should make sure that you are logged in for this to work. You can go to MONETIZE here and then go to your projects. And then here under your projects, select the Hausmeister Tycoon and there go to placements. From this menu, you can check your app ID for the App Store as well as the Google Play Store, as well as the ad placements that we have. So here we have the video, playable video, and the rewarded video. These are the two types that we can configure. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. And now let's get back to our project, because now we can go ahead and create an ads manager. So the thing is, you might see that we have a new error here that occurred because there were a bunch of new files that were loaded in the background. So let's not focus on that for now. Let's for now create an ads manager. And then let's create a script inside of here that will also be called ads manager. All right. So let's check out what we need to set up in the ads manager. Before we do that, actually, let's drag the ads manager into our, the scripts into the ads manager and set the transform to be at 0, 0, 0. Okay. So the first thing that you need to add is going to be advertisements. So this namespace here, or advertisements, however you want to pronounce it. So here, this namespace will allow us to use advertisements. So now we need to get our app ID, and we're going to build our game for Android. So let's check out the app ID for Android. It's going to be this one here for the Play Store. So copy that to the clipboard and let's use it in our project, because we will need to make sure that we have it available. So I'm going to make this a serialized field string Android ID. That will be that exact value that I had there. Now in our start method, we can initialize our advertisements or advertisements. So here advertisement.initialize with the Android ID. Now since we need to implement two types of ads, one of them being a rewarded video, we need to check if the player finished watching the ad until the end, and only in that case we want to reward the player. The ads package provides different events that we can subscribe to in order to listen to these events. And therefore we're going to use an interface. Okay, so here you see that our ads manager is inheriting from mono behavior. But now you can also implement interfaces, and in this case it's going to be the Unity Ad Listener. So if you add that, you will see that it will complain because now there are a bunch of methods missing. And we can go to show potential fixes and implement the interface. And once we do that, you will see that it will add a bunch of methods to our project here. So to this ads manager script, it will add the onUnityAds.error, onUnityAds.start, and onUnityAds.ready. So these methods will be called in the certain events that will appear. So let's say somebody tried to we tried to display an ad and it didn't work. So the UnityAds.error will be called when the ads started, or this method will be called when it's ready. So before it even started, this method here will be called. And then once it is done, this method here will be called, and we can then also get the result, as well as we will be able to, for example, go ahead and double the money once that is done. So I don't like the position of them, so I'm going to reorder them. I'm going to put them further down in my code, and at the same time I will use the on the ads did finish at the top, and the rest is fine because I will probably not use them for now. And while we're at it, let's also get rid of the update method because we're not going to use it inside of our ads manager. Now you might wonder, what are interfaces? Well, we have an extra video where we talk about that. And also what you have to consider here is we need to add these methods because we added this Unity Ads Listener, and we, so to speak, have a contract. So interfaces are like contracts. It's our job to make use of these events, and that's why we need to register them. In the start method, we need to add a listener to the ads event, which already exists in our class. So it's the add listener. Let me add that one here. So advertisement dot add a listener, and I'm just going to say that this is going to be the ad listener, and this is only possible because we have the Unity Ads Listener interface implemented in our ads manager. So now this here stands for our ads manager. So we're saying we're passing the ads manager as the ad listener, Unity Ad Listener here. Okay, so you need to pass this when calling this add listener method from the advertisement class, which we have because we added this namespace here at the top. Quick pause. The video that you're currently watching is just a fraction of the entire course that I have to offer. So I built this complete Unity masterclass course in which you're going to learn how to build real games and how to build them from scratch. So you're going to learn how to build a platformer game, how to build a Space Invaders clone, how to build a Fruit Ninjas clone and optimize it for mobile and export it for mobile as well, how to build a first-person shooter game, and finally how to build a tycoon game similar to Adventurists, which is an endless game. So if you want to become a real game developer, definitely check out the course. You can find the link in the description and you will get the course with a huge discount, so don't hesitate, as you will not only get the course, but you will also get it in a structured manner with all of the code, as well as a Q&A section with a 5-star support. So get the course now. I hope to see you there. So now this will allow us to execute code, for example, when an ad is finished inside of the onUnityAds.finish method. Now, before we start showing ads, we need to get their placement IDs. So let's go back to our placements here, and we can see that there is 2 ads already defined for us, but let's create one our own. So we can add a new placement, clicking here, and you see there are banner ads, interstitial ads, and rewarded videos. So let's call this one double money video. And this will be a rewarded video. Full screen ads that offer the user a reward, typically in the form of in-game currency for completing the video in full. So let's create this placement. And then let's create another placement. So let's go back. You see here, now double money video is here. Let's add another one. And this one will be a skippable video. So therefore I'm going to use this one, interstitial video. And I'm going to call this one skippable video, like so. And let's create this placement as well. So if you go back now, you see you have your different types of videos. So double money video and the skippable video. They are pretty much the same thing that we have here already, but we're going to use our own, as you see here. And now let's go ahead and use those in our project. So let's go back to our code here. And I'm going to add my placement IDs in here. So I called one of them double money video. I'm going to give it the placement ID, so that will be the string name, double money video. And then the skippable video placement ID is skippable video. So here, unfortunately, I misspelled it and I wrote the capital S, but that's fine. I just need to make sure that it's exactly the same ID as it is here, the placement ID. You can also copy it to your clipboard and then paste it in, just to be sure that you are using exactly the same writing. So if you wrote it slightly differently, it won't work. Really make sure that you use exactly the placement ID that you have in your Unity dashboard. And now let's go ahead and create methods that will call these videos. Okay, so let's make public methods here. Public void show double money ad. And let's add that here. So here we can also just use the advertisement class, and it has a method called show. And here we can just say which ID we want to show. Okay, so here the placement ID, for example. So I'm just going to use the double money video here, and therefore I'm going to copy this variable and I'm going to paste it in there. So now please go ahead and create another method that will then show the skippable video placement ID. Okay, I hope that you did that, and here it is, show skippable ad, and this one will show the skippable video placement ID, which will display the skippable video. All right, now everything is prepared for us to use this on Unity Ads did finish, because here, instead of throwing an error, not implemented exception, what I want to do is I want to actually run some code. So let me check the result, this show result, and see if it is show result dot finished. Because you see here, show result, if you hover over it, it's an enum. Okay, so enums, they are, as we saw earlier, a type of, well, data that is just containing numbers, but displays readable words so that we understand what they do. So if the result is 0, we will know it's failed. If it's 1, we know it will be skipped. And if it's 2, we know it's finished. So we will check if the show result was finished, and then we can do some rewarding. So we can also, first of all, check if the placement ID was correct. So here placement ID was the double money video placement ID. And in that case, for now, let's say double your money in the log, as well as let's add money to our game manager, money manager, better said. Okay, so here the money manager is our manager that takes care of our money, as you might recall. And here we have this big integer money, and we're using this instance in order to now double the money. Because what we're saying here is add money, which is our add money method that increases the amount of money we have. So a method to add money to our manager, and we're adding as much money as we currently have, because the money is storing how much money we have. So that means that this add money will now increase the amount of money we have by the amount of money we already have, which means we're doubling our money. That is it for now, but next we will work on the strategy to show our ads. Welcome back. In this lecture, we will implement the logic which will actually show ads to the player based on our monetization strategy. So let's go ahead and create a new script, and let's add that to our ads manager. So here, create C# script. I'm going to call this one monetization strategy. I hope I write it correctly. Strategy, like so. All right. So what is our monetization strategy? Well, the monetization strategy is that I want to add a panel that will then be displaying the ads. Okay, so let's go ahead in our game UI. Let's create a new UI element, a panel, and let's call it one double money panel. Sounds pretty awesome. I would like to double my money very quickly, but that's not how it works in real life, but it will work in our game. So you see there is now a layer on top of our game, and for the purpose of optimizing it for mobile, let's go back to portrait. And as I said earlier, we are going to see later how we can move around in the map. For now, let's focus on setting up our canvas correctly and this panel as well. So I'm going to change the scale to 0.75 in terms of width and 0.5 in terms of height. So there will be this little panel here that will obstruct our view. And I'm going to change its color a tiny bit. So here, let's use whatever color you want to use, something like that. You can reduce the transparency as well, something like that. And now let's add 2 buttons to this panel. Okay, because one button should say something like, okay, I want to double my money, and then the ad will appear. So the rewarded video, because you only want to display the rewarded video if the player has actively decided to do so. So let's go ahead and create this button. I'm going to first create the close button, and let's pivot it towards the top right hand side. And here now, let's check out our close button and let's pivot it to the top right hand side. So here you can click in here, hold shift and the alt key at the same time and select the top right hand option here. Then the button will still stay inside of its parent, so inside of our money panel, but it will be just at the edge of it. All right, so now let's change it up a little bit. So I'm going to change its size so that it's going to be significantly larger, as it is pretty small right now. So let's use 300 times 300. That should be fine, I believe. And now let's change the text also to a big X. So here I'm going to use a font of 240 for this. So this will be the X that should trigger closing this panel. So in order to achieve this, let's go to the close button itself. Let's add a click event to it. So here, and then here you can drag in your money panel. So double money panel, and select game object set active bool. What that will do is once you click on the button, it will deactivate this game panel. So this double money panel. So let's go ahead and test it. Click on it and the money panel closes. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Now let's go ahead and add another button, and that second button will take care of doubling our money. So right click the double money panel. Let's create a new button here, and I'm going to call this one double money button. Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the money.
And then here, this one will be at 830 and 470 in terms of size. Now let's change up the text a little bit. Say something like double your money, or maybe some, yeah, that should be fine. Double your money with a font size of, let's say 120. It looks good. Well, it doesn't look too good, but you can of course play around with fonts and colors and all of that stuff. I'm not a designer, so I wouldn't know. I'm just building the game, how it works, and then a designer can look over it and make it better. So double your money. And now, what do we want to do once we click on that button? Well, I hope you still recall what we did in the last video. We created this ads manager. So let's click here. So let's create a new on-click event. Let's drag in the ads manager here and then select ads manager show double money ad. So that's the method that we set up in the last video. So here, this show double money ad, which will then show the ad that we wanted to display. And then if the player finished the ad, then this stuff should be triggered. Well, then it should check if it was that exact placement that we're looking at, and then it would double the money. All right, so now let's save this game scene and let's test it. So once we click on double your money, an ad should appear, and this shows that the ad will work on a device. Okay, the screen would be your ad unit. Everything seems to be working. So let's close that. And now our ad will disappear if we were to test this on a real device. And by the way, something that you might have noticed here is that once we click on double money and close it, this thing still is open. So our panel, our money panel, is still open. So let's deactivate that as well. So let's go on the double money button. Let's add another event. Let's drag in the double money panel and go over to game object and set active pool. So let's test it again, because doubling our money now will display the ad as well as it will close the double money panel. Perfect. So that's exactly what I wanted there. Okay, so now let's deactivate this panel because I don't want it to be there from the start. The player shouldn't see this every time that he opens the app. This would be super annoying. Instead, what we want to do is we want to take care of it in our monetization strategy. So what I want to do for now is I'm going to display this money panel once every minute. Okay, so I'm going to really exaggerate it for testing purposes. Therefore, let's first of all create a game object double money panel that we can activate or deactivate. And then let's create also a double money ad interval. In my case, I'm going to set that to 60 seconds. Okay, so usually when you would do that is potentially depending on, let's say, what the user does. So if the player would press a button where he can actually double the money manually, where he can select this functionality, then he could trigger this event. But what we're going to do is we're going to trigger it every 60 seconds. So this is just for testing purposes. Don't do that in your real game because people will deactivate it or uninstall it straight away, because this would be way too annoying. So these are the two variables that we're going to require. And now let's create an enumerator, so a coroutine that will take care of displaying the ad every 60 seconds. So here, enumerator, and I'm going to call this one double money routine, or double money ad routine, maybe even. So something like that should be good. Now, because this is an enumerator, we need to return a yield. So yield return. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all make sure that we disable the money panel, and then we run a while routine that will be true all the time, which means that it will now be running all the time, which is fine for a coroutine as we've seen before. And now in here, I will wait for the double money ad interval. So I will wait for 60 seconds. And then we can check if the panel is active or not. So double money panel is not active self. So there's this property called active self, the local active state of this game object. So this is just a property here, as you can check. It's a Boolean and it only has a getter. We cannot set it, we can only get it. And this allows us to check if the panel is active or not. So we're saying if it's not active, activate it. So we're then showing it every 60 seconds. Now, of course, this double your money routine will never run because we're never calling it. So let's start a coroutine here with our money doubling method here. Okay, so let's save this monetization strategy. Let's make sure that we have it in our ads manager here. Let's drag it in there. And now we need to assign the double money panel. Okay, so let's add that double money panel in here as well to our monetization strategy. Okay, so now let's check it out. Let's play the game for a bit. And then after 60 seconds, the game should allow us to increase stuff. So by the way, I'm going to change the mode here. Otherwise I cannot improve it. So I'm going to skip forward a minute. Well, you could, of course, for testing purposes, set that to 5 seconds or so, then it's easier to test. But for now, it's going to be fine. I'm just going to keep on playing the game. I pause the video until the point that it actually appears. So where the ad appears. And there we are. It appeared. And let's see if we can double our money. We closed the ad and it doubled my money. So it was at 35 before, now it's at 70. All right, so that seems to work. Okay, so that is how we can use rewarded videos. So let's check out skippable ads in the next video. Well, welcome back. In this video, we're going to check out skippable ads. And therefore, let's go over to our monetization strategy script, where we had the double money ad routine already. And now let's take care of the skippable ads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another variable here that will display the skippable ad interval. So every 150 seconds, for example, I want to display a skippable video ad. So that's something that you definitely need to be a lot more careful with, because skippable ads are fine and they make you a little bit of money, but they can be super annoying. So if your game has some sort of a level system where, for example, the player plays a level for 3 minutes or so and then moves on to the next level, then it would make sense to display such a skippable ad between levels, for example. So you really need to think about what would be a good spot to position your skippable ads. It's really something that I personally find super annoying when playing games. That's why I'm happy to buy apps that I'm using a lot, because I'm not a fan of ads at all. So, which is also good. We're going to see how to implement that later on as well, how to implement a functionality where you can actually buy to not see ads anymore. So in-app purchases are a good thing there. So let's go ahead and implement it. So now we will need to have another coroutine for that. So let's go ahead and set it up. I'm going to call this one skippable video ad routine, like so. And now, of course, it will also need a yield return at one point. Let's also use this while true thingy that we used before. Let's wait for the skippable video ad interval here. But I will also do something else first. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check in my player prefs. So there is this class player prefs, as we've seen in another chapter of the course. Here I'm going to check if ads removed is set to 1 and the default will be 0. So if we can't find ads removed in our player prefs, then it will default it to 0. So you can hover over get int. It says returns the value corresponding to key in the preference file if it exists. And otherwise it's going to display the default value here. So if it is 1, which means we have removed the ads, then I want to run a yield break. I want to get out of this whole coroutine, so out of this method here. It will not execute anything else that we have there. But otherwise, I want to wait for the 15 seconds, so, or 150 seconds, I believe it was. Yeah, 150 seconds. And I want to display the ads. And here I'm not going to do this here. I'm not going to take care of the panel. Instead, I'm going to get the component called Ads Manager. So the Ads Manager script, because we're currently in the monetization strategy script, right? I want to access the Ads Manager script and I want to show the skippable ad from here. So the thing is, even though we are in the monetization strategy script, we can still access the Ads Manager and we can access its methods. And the one that I want to run is this show skippable ad. So the Ads Manager is taking care of actually displaying the stuff, and the monetization strategy is taking care of when we want to display stuff, okay, when we want to display ads. So here we're just saying all the time, do this. Check, do we have ads removed or not? Well, if we have removed them, break out of this thing. If we don't have removed them, then wait for the interval, 150 seconds, and then display the skippable ad. And now, of course, we also need to call this inside of our start method. So here, the coroutine. So start coroutine with our skippable video ad routine yield, well, i enumerator. Okay, so now we will display both, or we will load both. Now for testing purposes, I'm going to set that to 10 seconds. So let's reduce that, or actually let's even do 5 seconds. And let's see if the skippable ads will appear after 5 seconds. So let's buy a house. Let's wait a couple of seconds. And there's our ad. We can skip it here at the top. You can see, let's skip it. And we're back in the game. Every 5 seconds now this ad will appear. Annoying as hell, but for testing I set it up like that and it works. So let me change that back to 150 or maybe 150,000. Yeah, whatever. So let's save that. And that is it for this video. In the next video we're going to take care of in-app purchases, because you might have seen this line here. Well, you might have thought about this line, what it means, and I explained it a little bit, but we're going to take care of actually setting this ads removed once the player bought something from us. So once he bought the in-app purchase that we have to offer, which is in our case just to get rid of ads. So see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can now use the scripts and the code for your own projects and start making money with your own games. And if you want to share your games, please feel free to share them in the comments so that we can check them out, not just me, but also the other viewers of this video. And yeah, from this point on, you saw that we are going to have another video on the topic of in-app purchases. If you cannot wait for it, definitely check out the link in the description to get the full course, or if you want to build the entire project, then also get the full course. And well, I'm definitely happy to see you in the course, but also I'm of course happy if you just stay on this YouTube channel, and if you like this video, and also hit that notification bell on the subscription button. Okay, so I wish you a nice day and all the best with your own games. See you in the next video.